George Welton Ward has the honor of being the immigrant ancestor of the Ward family. He was the third child of John and Susanna Welton Ward. Our grandfather was born September 12, 1814, in the village of Leaston of Suffolk County, England. When George Ward was 8 years old, the family moved a distance of 24 miles in the southwesterly direction to Foxhall. In 1841, when he was 27, he made some trips to London to visit relatives. There he met a young woman by the name of Anne Trulock. Anne Trulock was born May 13, 1818 in London of wealthy parents. They were married on the 24th day of January, 1842 in London. After his marriage, he kept an inn in Woodbridge in Suffolk County for about 6 years. He then became manager of an oil mill, which made linseed oil and oil cake. During the time grandfather and grandmother lived in Suffolk County, their first 3 sons were born, namely William, George, and Richard Trulock. In 1847, our grandparents moved to Southampton, Hampshire, England, and on April 11, 1849, Alfred Ward, their 4th son, was born. That same year, in the month of July, our grandparents were baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. At this time, grandfather was manager of an oil mill and was doing well financially. He did not have to leave to go to polygamy, says his brothers and sisters. He was doing so well. Shortly after this, grandfather and grandmother immigrated to the United States of America. Sailing from England in a little sailing vessel named Ellen Marie, they were 12 weeks crossing the Atlantic Ocean, landing at New Orleans on April 6, 1851. After landing, they sailed up the Mississippi and Missouri rivers to Council Bluff. They were compelled to go to Council Bluff as that was the outfitting point for the journey across the plains. On the 8th day of June, 1851, on their westward journey, they reached Harris Grove, 30 miles north of Canesville, Pottawatomie County. During this difficult journey and on this same day, grandmother gave birth to her 5th son, Moroni. I remember, says grandfather, that it rained hard and we were forced to enter an old shed for shelter at 10 o'clock p.m. Hands were held to catch the rain so as not to wet my wife, Anne Trulock. Grandmother made many hard sacrifices. First, it was very painful for her to leave her people in England and come west. Second, we can imagine what hardships she had to undergo on her journey westward. Besides, it was difficult for her to adapt herself to frontier life. She was a small woman in stature, but genuine in character, being a brave mother and a sweet-tempered wife. In May 1852, our grandparents immigrated to the Great Salt Lake Valley and arrived there on the 9th of October. A year later, a call was made by Honorable Brigham Young, then governor of the desert, for men and their families to leave Salt Lake and settle the territory both north and south. By so doing, small communities were established, which later developed into towns and cities. In 1852, our grandparents wintered at North Ogden, Weber County. In the spring of 1854, they moved to North Willard Creek, since known as Willard City. On the 23rd day of January 1854, John Joseph, the 6th son, was born at North Willard Creek, Box Elder County. Anne Elizabeth, their first daughter, was born March 21, 1856 at Willard City, Box Elder County. Charles Robert, the 7th son, was born February 1, 1858 at Willard City, Box Elder County. Grandfather was 67 years, 11 months, 9 days old at the time of his death. Besides being bishop, he was also active in civic affairs, being selectman or commissioner of Box Elder County for 25 years, from 1857 to 1882. We are proud of our grandfather and the traits of character that he has handed down to his posterity. May we ever emulate his worthy example.